Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf, which is Beya Daf Ches. We are on Zayin Amud Beis, 3 lines from the bottom, right at the 2 dots. U'moidim shim shachat, both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel will agree. If he did actually do the shechita of the animal on Yom Tov, sheyachper bedeker v'yichasa, he may take that shovel, that spade, dig up some earth, and use it for kisoi hadam, because if one is sheichet either an animal, a chaya, or a oif, or a bird, he needs to cover that dam with earth. So after the fact, after the shechita, all agree, you can go ahead and cover it. The machlokes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel applies beforehand. Beis Shammai allow you to proceed, to initiate the shechita, knowing full and well you're going to have to dig up that earth to cover the dam. Beis Hillel don't agree. You're not allowed to allow yourself that possibility. You can initiate the shechita, but after the fact, you have dam on your hands, you have a mitzvah of kisi adam, all agree, go ahead and cover it with this soil. Amar Rabbi Zrika, Amar Rabbi Yehuda. You know what we're speaking about? Of course, there is no Issa d'Oraisa taking place here, because V'hu provided, sheyesh lo deker no'otz, he has a deker, a spade, a shovel, already inserted into the ground, which has already somewhat uprooted that glob of earth. This was done from before Yom Tov. In that case, he's not doing a malacha by simply lifting the shovel with the earth, because the earth has already been dislodged somewhat, in which case there's no longer concern of a malacha of chayfer, which is a tilad of chayresh, and therefore this is allowed. Says the Gemara v'haka'avid kasisha. Fine, he's not digging, but he's going to have to grind up those globs of earth to cover the dam. You need loose soil to cover the dam with, and that's a malacha. Kasisha, grinding up the globs of earth, is a tilada of teichen. So how can you do that? We're speaking that it's loose, it's fluid sand, in which case he's not going to have to crunch up any clumps. Fine, so there's no teichen, but what about the fact that he's making a gumma, he's making a pit by lifting this earth? He's leaving behind a hole in the ground, which is a malacha. So if it's in his house, he's going to be doing boina. If it's out in the field, he's going to be doing chayrish. Now Taisus asks, what do you mean? We're speaking about sand, loose, fluid sand, which won't leave a hole behind. It's just going to collapse. As we learn in Gemara and Shabbos, that Offer Tichayich has no concern of chayfer. He says here it's different, because we're speaking that after he takes out the sand, the earth around it is stiff in place. So only what he's going to take out is Offer Tichayich, but all the surrounding area is stiff and firm and hard and will remain in place, in which case he's going to leave a pit behind. So how can he do this? It's a malacha. Answers the Gemara, as Rabbi told us. Even if one digs a pit on Shabbos, but he doesn't really need the pit. He's not preparing a mukim for planting. He just needs the offer, needs the soil. He's patur on this Maasa. Why? So Rashi explains, because he's just ruining his makalkal. He's ruining his flat, level land. And a makalkal is not a malacha min haTorah. Taisus brings another reason. It's a malacha she'eina tzricha l'gufa. Keep in mind, he doesn't really care much about this pit that's being formed. He needs the offer. So it's just a sort of a secondary effect, a byproduct of what he's doing. It's not really his primary interest. It's a malacha which he doesn't need for its own sake. It's just happening by default, in which case he is pater. But either way, it's asam d'Rabbanan. So Rashi was working with Rabbi Yehuda Shita, who says even a malacha she'ena tzrichel gufa is chayev. Therefore Rashi says it's makalkal, it's just ruining, it's destroying, it's not a constructive act. Therefore it's not a malacha. It's only asam d'Rabbanan. And in this case, where it's after the fact, he's already after the shechita, he has to do kisi adam, we allow it. we suspend the Issa D'Rabbanan. In Tosfos' case, he's working with Malacha She'en Tzrichel Gufa Pata, that's Shitas Reb Shimon and Gemara Shabbos. But it's still D'Rabbanan, still Aser. But in this case, we allow it. So it turns out that the Machloikis B'Shamai B'Sil is L'chatchila. Can I allow myself into this situation, which will inevitably lead to an Issa D'Rabbanan, either Makalkel or etc. B'Shamai say, go ahead. For Simchas Yom Tov, go do the Shchita and proceed with the Kisei. We're not speaking about Issa D'Oraisa, as we explained. There's no Charisha, there's no Tchina. All there is an Issa D'Rabbanan. And Tosfos explains there isn't even the Isser of Muktzah, because once he has that spade inserted, the offer on top of it is already prepared for this purpose. There's no concern of Muktzah. So according to Beishamai, go ahead and do this. L'chatchila. Beis Hillel don't agree. Don't allow you to do it l'chatchila, because it's going to involve Issa D'Rabbanan. But after the fact, you did the Shchita, all agree, umoidim, shem shachat, it's after the Shchita, sheyachbar b'deker v'yichasa, which means he already had that decker in the ground, just lift it, pick up the earth, and cover the dam. Gemara continues, she'efa kira muchanu. These are the last words of the Mishnah. Because ashes in your stove are prepared, are not muktzah. Who spoke about ashes in a stove? Efer kira mandachar shmei. Whoever made mention of ashes in a stove, why is the Mishnah referring to that scenario? Amar Rabba, you're right, Hachikama. The Mishnah is merely adding another detail, another halacha. Ve'efer, or some agurs, v'she'efer, kira muchanu. You meant to know that ashes inside your stove are considered prepared and designated for personal use. They're not considered muktzah. And perhaps there is a connection here, because the way Tosfos explained, the very reason why we allowed you to do the Kisi Adam after you inserted the decker into the ground is because the soil right on top of that shovel is considered muchan. There's no muktzah concern. Perhaps that's why the Mishnah adds this as well. I'll give you another example of sand, ashes, a similar material which is not going to be muktzah. What is that? The efer in the kira. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Marav. Lo yishano. This is only said. Ela shehu sak merav Yom Tov. These ashes were formed before Yom Tov. The wood was already burnt up, transformed into ashes. So now you have ashes coming into Yom Tov, which were designated for personal use. There's no muktzah. Aval husak be Yom Tov asa. But if the wood was heated and burnt on Yom Tov and then created charcoal and ashes, these ashes are newly formed on Yom Tov. It's muktzah. It was never here. And therefore we say you cannot use it to cover the dam. Because coming into Yom Tov, there were pieces of wood meant for heating, meant for cooking. Suddenly they were changed into ashes. And Tosfos points out, even Rabbi Shimon, who holds that generally speaking, something unprepared is not considered muktzah as long as you have some use of it from it. But in this case, he says it's a noilad. It's taking on a new form. And this type of thing was never prepared properly, and therefore it's muktzah. However, but if you have enough burning coals in there, in which case you can use it to fry your egg right now on Yom Tov, then you can go ahead and take the entire batch of ashes and cover the dam, because it's still functioning in its earlier capacity. We have burning coals which are still able to cook and to bake with, and therefore they don't lose their earlier designation. They maintain their hachana status, and you can use it for anything, including covering the dam. Tani nami hachi. We found the same halacha in a Beitzah, when we said that ashes in a stove are considered prepared for any personal use. That was only said if they were produced before Yom Tov, in which case they came into Yom Tov in this state, and it was prepared for this purpose. But if they were formed on Yom Tov, if the fire consumed the wood on Yom Tov itself, and you're left with ashes, also they're considered muktzah, because coming into Yom Tov, they weren't designated to serve in this capacity. They were meant to be used as firewood. Suddenly you have ashes. It's lacking preparation. But if the ashes are hot enough, can be used for cooking, for roasting an egg, then you can go and use it because it retains its designation. It's still conserved in the same capacity, the same purpose, and it's not muktzah. Says Rashi, 5 lines from the top. Shehusik me'erev Yom Tov. Me'esmal da'iti aliyah v'chol mili. We're speaking that it was formed erev Yom Tov. It was burnt before Yom Tov, so going into Yom Tov, he had his mind on it. I'm going to use it for whatever I need, including covering dam. Aval husik be Yom Tov. But in the case where it was burnt on Yom Tov, the lekal me'emar da'iti aliyah me'esmal, also. In this case, you can't say, I had my mind on these ashes. They weren't even here. They're considered unprepared, they're noilad, and they're muktzah. However, it's still hot enough to be used for roasting, mutter, that he can use it for coverage as well. Because yesterday, before Yom Tov, when they were still in their wood form, they were intended for this purpose, heating, cooking, roasting. It's still retaining that use. It's still conserving that capacity. If I did the chazi, and since it could still potentially serve to roast an egg, so you could take some of it and cover the dam with it. Continues the Gemara. Suppose he collected some soil, piled it up in his house with the intention to use it in his garden for planting. In his churv, his ruins, his abandoned home. In any case, he plans on using this pile of offer for malacha purposes, but in the meantime, it's sitting piled up in his house. He'd like to use it for kisi adam. Mutar l'chasas boy. Go ahead and use it, because it's here for personal use. We don't say it's batal to the floor. They used to have wooden earth floors. No, we don't say that this pile is batal to dirt floor. It's a pile sitting on the side, awaiting use. V'amar Yehuda, a greater chiddush. Even a small amount of offer has the same halacha. Machnis adam malaku pasay offer. A person could collect a basketful, a box full of dirt, pour it into his house, and use it. V'oisa b'kol tzorch, and use it for any purpose. Darash marzutra, mishmei de marzutra rabba. Marzutra added in the name of marzutra rabba. V'hu. This is only said, provided, sheyich lekeren zavis. He designated for it a specific corner, meaning he piled it in the corner, in which case it's not going to be bottled to his dirt floor. Let's go back to Rashi, pick up where we left off, around 14, 15 lines from the top. It says Rashi, Hichnis offer. Harbe took a large quantity of offer, b'makim echad, piled it in one location in his home, to use it for topsoil for his garden in the spring. He can use it for kisi adam. The kolzman should suffer, because as long as it's still piled, as long as he still has it in his house before he took it out to the garden, at this point he'd like to use it for anything, and it's prepared for that purpose. Rabbi Yehuda added a chiddush. Even a small amount of offer is not bottled to the floor. Machnes adam lekupasi offer bistam, without any specific intention. V'noisni makom echad, puts it in the corner. V'oisib kol tzrachav, and use it for any purpose. We don't say in this case batla lagabekarka bias. I did the zutcha, being that it's a small quantity. Perhaps it's nullified to the dirt floor and it's part of the house and it's muktzah. No, this pile of offer is meant for his personal use. It's not muktzah. The Gemara added, "V'hu sheyichadla." It has to be situated in the corner. V'lo shatcha, meaning as opposed to dispersing it throughout the house. In that case, it would be a problem. But where he piled it up in a specific location, it's pretty clear. It's evident. He'd like to use it for his purposes. Now Rashi points out something very important. Of course, we're speaking that it's fluid sand. You don't need to dig anymore. To grind it. The only potential hazard could be the hachana issue, the muktzah concern, but in this case, since it was reserved for personal use, there's no muktzah. Continues the Gemara Meisvei. Listen to this kasha on Rabbi Yehuda, who says that this pile of offer can be used for any purpose, including kisei adam. including anything that he wants to use it for? The Beitzah says kvi, a certain species of an animal which is actually a suffix. Rashi says suffix if it's a chaya, in which case if you shecht it, you need kisi adam. Suffix if it's a behema, in which case even if you shecht it, you don't need kisi adam. Says the Beitzah, I want to give you some good advice. Kvi ein shech noise beyantav. You shouldn't shecht it on yantav because you can get entangled in this confusion, because it might be a chaya, in which case you need kisi adam, in which case you can't do it on yantav because you can't handle offer to do kisi adam on yantav. So don't do shechita on a kvi. But even after he did shechita, ein machasnas damai, you can't do kisi adam. You can eat the animal, but you can't be machas adam on yantav. This is the price. Vi isa. Now this is going to be a kasha. If what you said, Rabbi Yehuda, is correct, that this offer that was reserved for personal use can be used for any tzrachim, for any purpose, for any need, even if it's a behema, let me use it. I'm free to use it for anything. Vi isa, if that's true and correct, l'chsayik Rabbi Yehuda, I can take this offer reserved for personal use and pour it on the dam of this kvi. What's the worst thing that could be? It's a behema, it doesn't need kisui. Okay. This offer is not muktzah. Now according to you, why couldn't he use ashes from his stove? All agree that's not muktzah. We're using this earth which was picked up with this shovel, as we discussed earlier. Whether it's after shechita, and even Beis Hillel agree allowed, or it's before shechita, and according to Beis Shammai. In either case, we have possibilities. We have options for kisi adam, even on yantiv. Why can't he shech the kvi? So you're asking on me, if afar can be used for anything, what's wrong with the kvi? According to you, what about ashes in the stove? You also agree that it's not muktzah. Leslie, apparently, he has no access to those prepared items. And that's the problem. It's according to me as well. Who's speaking that he has no access to prepared offer, so all he has is muktzah. Well, then you have a problem. Therefore, you shouldn't shech the kvi. If that's the case, that was speaking that he simply has no access to prepared offer, ma'ir yisafik. Why does the Beitzah focus on the kvi? Because of its uncertainty. Don't do the shechita, because you're going to have to do kisi adam, and you don't have offer which isn't muktzah. Even if it's a chaya who needs kisi adam, with certainty, you shouldn't do the shechita because you have no offer prepared in advance. So why does the Beitzah talk about the kvi? What does that have to do with a suffix? It's a plain practical concern. You have no non-muktzah substance for kisi adam, so don't do a shechita in that case. Loy miboye kamer. The Beitzah is simply applying a loy miboye formula. Needless to say, what do you mean? Loy miboye. Needless to say, vade that a vada chaya who needs kisi adam should not be shechted under these circumstances because you don't have prepared offer to cover the dam with. That's pashut. Loy miboye vade loy lishchet. Of course, he shouldn't shecht a chaya. He won't be able to do kisi adam. Aval suffix, but when it comes to a kvi which is only a suffix chaya, perhaps there would be room to think, Eimal say misham simchas yamtiv, to generate simchas yamtiv, to supply him with meat. That's more important. Lishchait, let him do the shechita, b'makayim simchas yamtiv, even if it ends up resulting in lack of coverage. He can't do the kisi adam because he has no offer which is not muktzah. Perhaps it's more important to do simchas yomtiv, which is a vadai mitzvah, even though it's at the expense of perhaps ignoring the din kisi adam. There's a suffix here, whether this animal needs kisi adam. So as we know, ein suffix moitzi midei vadai. Perhaps the simchas yomtiv factor to accommodate simchas yomtiv override is more important than the possibility of ignoring kisi adam. Kamashmon, the Chilish of the Beitzah says no. You have no right to do that. A kvi is a suffix chaya. Min Torah, you have to go l'chumra. You can't allow yourself this type of situation, even if the purpose is to accommodate simchas yomtiv. So again, we're speaking that he has no non-muktzah material for kisi adam, and the chiddush is that even a suffix chaya should not be shechted to accommodate simchas yom tov. Says the Gemara about Miktani's Sefer. Take a look at the next part of the Beitzah. If he did shchita, ein mechasnas dami, you can't do kisi adam. Now, let me ask you a question. You see, before you said that it was a chiddush, that even a kvi, which is only a suffix, don't go ahead and shecht it. So before the shechita, there's a chiddush by a suffix. Don't do it, even though you're trying to accommodate a vadai simchas yom tov at the expense of it, perhaps a kisi adam, a suffix kisi adam. No, don't do it. But now we're speaking about v'im shachle. If you already did the shechita, what does the Beitzah say? You can't cover. Ein mechasnas dami. Why does the Beitzah focus on the kvi? Is that a din only for a kvi? Again, we're speaking he has no non-muktzah material for coverage. So why does the Beitzah focus on the suffix? If you shechted the kvi, you can't cover because it's muktzah. The Beitzah could have spoken about any chaya, even a chaya that really needs kisi adam. But since you only have muktzah material, you can't do kisi adam. So the fact that the Beitzah chose to focus on the suffix, on the kvi, apparently was speaking that the issue here is not muktzah. Again, because we're speaking that he only has muktzah material, why is this halacha unique to a kvi? Only a suffix has that problem? The Beitzah, for the same money, could have spoken about a vadai chaya. You only have muktzah material. After shchita, you can't do kisi. Oh, michlal b'de'isle askin. And apparently, we have to reinterpret the Beitzah. We're speaking that he has access to offer, which was designated for personal use. And the Beitzah is telling us that by the kvi, only by the kvi, because there's a suffix, even after shchita, you have dam right here. Too bad you can't cover the dam with this offer, which was reserved for personal use. That's a kasha on Rabbi Yehuda, who told us that offer reserved for personal use can be used in any capacity. So why can't he use it for the kvi? Ella amar Rabba or Rava, I'll tell you why. Generally speaking, Rabbi Yehuda is right. If you collect some offer reserved for personal use, you can use it for any purpose. It's considered designated, prepared, muchan, for any use which you anticipate on Yom Tov. Ela marava, efer, kira, muchan levadai. Any non-muktzah material, such as ashes in your stove, are considered prepared for a vadai. Meaning, if you anticipate this use, you expect this type of tzorich, this type of shimush, then your mind, in the back of your mind, that's what you had in mind, that's what you prepared it for. Ve'muchan l'safik. But it's not considered prepared for a suffix, such as a kvi. Now, it's not clear exactly why. The Gemara is going to try to figure this out. But at this point, the Gemara seems to think that it's not because of muktzah. It's prepared for personal use. But his preparation only works, is only effective for a vadai, for a chaya which really needs kisi adam, then he can take this offer and use it. But for a kvi which is only a suffix, you can't use it. L'safik my time in life. Why? What's wrong? It's not muktzah. Says the Gemara, the ka'avad guma. Apparently because there's a concern of digging a hole, which is a malacha. What does that have to do with a suffix? Vadai nami ka'avad guma. Even if it's a vadai chaya which needs kisi adam, he's doing a malacha by digging up this dirt. Elok the Rababa. Apparently you have to respond with Rababa. Rababa told us that since he doesn't need the pit which is being formed, it's not considered a malacha. Okay, Yachanamik the Rababa. Why can't you apply that concept to the kaya as well? Even if it's a suffix, who cares? You're not doing a malacha. So that's off the table. Ela suffix my timer. What then is wrong with the kvi? Dilma of a ksisha. Oh, he might find some clusters of offer there. He might have to grind it up, and that's a malacha. So that's why you can't do kisi adam on the kvi. Well, that applies to a vadei chai as well. He might come to grind the globs of earth. Says the Gemara, the truth is that most times we don't have globs of earth. There's a hashash, there's a gzera that he might actually find some and grind them. At the worst case, says the Gemara, at the worst case scenario, there's no concern if this animal really needs kisi adam. Vadai, when it's a vadai chaya, ki avid kasisha, even if he actually grinds up his globs, asi asay, the chiyav, the mitzvah asay, of a chisohu ba'afar, of kisi adam, overrides the lav of leisasa malach an yamtiv. Asi asay, v'dochi es leisasa. The Ramban says that mitzvah asay is an expression of love to Hashem. Leisasa is an expression of fear. Ahava overrides yira. Ramban Chumash Barshish Yisrael. So therefore, if it's an animal which really needs kisi adam, so what's the worst thing that could happen? He's going to grind up the globs. He's doing malacha, but it's for the sake of an mitzvah asay. An asay overrides a lois asay, as opposed to a kvi. We don't necessarily know that he needs kisi adam. It's only a suffix, and therefore we can't take that chance. When do we say asay asay v'doches lois asay? Then an essay overrides a lois asay. Kigun mila b'tzaras. That's only in very specific cases, like if there's a nega on the oira of the arla, you're allowed to remove the arla with the tzaras, even though there's a lav, hishama b'nega tzaras. You can do that to accommodate the mila. Inami, or for instance, sudden b'tzitzis. You have a linen sheet. You can hang woolen strings on it to mekayim mitzvah tzitzis at the expense of isur kalayim. So in those cases, yeah, it works. The be'idna, the kama'akar lav, because at that very moment when he uproots the lav, when he goes against the isser, kamoikim laseh, he's actually fulfilling the mitzvah say. The mitzvah smila and removal of the nega happen simultaneously. The wearing of the tzitzis and the fact that he's wearing kalayim are going hand in hand. So that's when the essay overrides the lois essay. As opposed to our case, bakisi adam, be'idna the kama'akar lav. When he's transgressing the lav, when he's grinding up this earth, like Moikim must say, he's not actually fulfilling the mitzvah say, it's happening a step later. So even if it's a chaya who needs kisi adam, how can we allow this? Halei kasha, the answer is the ba'adi de kasish. Let's assume, let's hope that while he's grinding the afar, kamachase, he's actually covering. It's happening in one swoop, grinding and coverage at the same time. So it's considered simultaneous. It's considered like your typical classical asay doicha lois asay. Says, what do you mean? How can you say the mitzvah kisi adam conforms to your classic asay doicha lois asay? Saif yomtiv asay v'lois asayu. Yomtiv has both elements. It's an asay. By Yom Rishon Shabbosin, Rashi says. Shabbosin means rest. Mitzvah asay, to refrain from malacha, plus a lois asay. Lois asay malacha. So Yom Tov has both elements. Yom Tov is asay v'lois asayu. Vein asay and the asay of kisi adam won't override two, one against two. Vein asay doiche es lois asay v'asay. Right? And an asay doesn't have the ability to override a lois asay which comes together with another asay. So back to square one. You tell me you can't use afar or afer, soil or ashes, which were prepared in advance. You can't use it for the kvi, which is only a suffix, whether it needs a kisi adam, but you can use it for a chaya, which certainly needs kisi adam. What's the difference? It's not muktzah. There's no malacha. Elam Rava, listen to this chiddush. It is a muktzah concern. Efer kira, the ashes within the stove, date levade. Although he prepared in advance, in his mind, he expected to use it for things which he anticipated. Things which will come his way with certainty, such as a chaya which needs kisi adam, vein datal l'safek, but he did not designate it for things where he's not sure he's going to really need it. Uncertainties are not included in the achana process. You see, you have earth, you have afar, which is inherently muktzah. He has to go overturn that status. He has to give a label of mucha to that item. So if he knows with certainty that he's going to need it, It's considered designated for that purpose. But in a case where he has a kvi, where he's not really sure whether he's going to need it for that purpose, we're not sure what a kvi is. Is it a chaya, which needs kisi adam? Is it a behema, which doesn't need kisi adam? You know what? Eliyahu Navi might show up tomorrow and tell you it's a behema. It doesn't need kisi adam. So it's not considered designated for that purpose. That explains the Beitzah. You have offer which was prepared. Like Rabbi Yehuda tells us, if you take offer and prepare it, it's considered non-muktzah. Rashi says even stam, he just took some offer, piled into his living room. It's considered automatically prepared for personal use. You can use it for anything you want. And that's why you can use it for kisi adam, provided he really needs it for that kisi adam, it's a chaya. But if it's only a suffix, it's not considered prepared for that purpose. And Rava follows his opinion stated elsewhere. If he collected offer for the purpose of covering waste that might be produced by a child, since he collected it for kisui tsoya, which is really a suffix, who says it's going to happen? So it's going to happen in a place where he has to cover it. So once he prepares it for a suffix use, certainly he can use it to cover the dam of the tzibur that he's going to shech on Yom, which is a vada. He knows he has a bird that he's going to shech tomorrow. So when something is prepared for an uncertain use, it's certainly considered prepared for a certain use, for a vada shimush. However, in the reverse, it doesn't work. Dam tzibur, if he designated for coverage of the dam tzibur, which is a vada use, it's a higher ranking use. It's vada. It's with certainty. Also, lakasas beitzah, you can't use it to cover the tzai because that's only a suffix, and it wasn't really meant and designated for that purpose. Let's go over to Rashi. So right before the lines widen, it's about 8 lines up. Vein datel suffix. This is Rava's chiddush. Hilkach isur muktzah ikav adin la Rav Yehuda. Says Rava, it's not considered designated for an uncertain use, for a use which he didn't necessarily anticipate. A designation for a shimush that he is anticipating, bivadois, can't be applied to something which is a suffix. He has a toddler, he's concerned that there might be some waste out in the open. So he has the offer for that purpose, which is really a suffix. You can use it to cover the dam of the bird. Because once he designates it for a suffix use, certainly levade is considered muchan for a vade. However, if he prepared it for the bird, which is a vade, he knows he has a bird awaiting shchita tomorrow, as considered a vada use. Also, lachas beitzah, says Rashi. You can't use it for that purpose. My time and why? Dam tzipar vada hayalei. He had a bird, he knows it's going to be shchita. Which needs coverage. Therefore, it's considered a use which he anticipates with certainty, with vadois. Avalat tsoya safiku. When it comes to tsoya, he's not sure. Whether it's going to surface out in the open, or he's going to need it covered. Vedata levadiv suffix, and designation applies to the vada and not to the suffix. That's Rav Shita. Continues the Gemara. Nar beloy amri. Now beloy is actually referring to Rami bar Beruchi. Is the Gemara in Sanhedrin attaches that name to this term. Nar beloy amri. Afilu hichnes afal chas beidam tzipor. They hold like this, that Tsoya is more than just a suffix. Rashi says it's karvel levade. We consider it to be something that's really going to happen. And therefore they hold that tzipor and tsoya go together. Afilu hichnas offer lachas beidam tzipor. Even if you collected the offer for the purpose of covering dam tzipor, which is a vade, mutar lachas beitzoya, you can use it for tsoya as well. It's considered a vade. So there's going to be a discussion regarding this tsoya. Is it considered a vade or a suffix? We're going to see several shittas. Amri b'marav, and it's Yisrael, they said that's actually machlekes amoraim. Pligiba, Rabbi Yosef bar Chama, Rabbi Zera. There's machlekes between these two amoraim, but Amri Losam had a different version. That the machlekes in between Rava Breder Rabbi Yosef bar Chama and Rabbi Zera. What was the machlekes regarding the status of tzoy? Do we say it's considered a shimush which he anticipates bevade or korel levade? It's close to being certain, Or do we consider it like a 50-50? Chad Amar, one of these Amoraim said, Kvi, the Kvi, the suffix, which is really like a 50-50, Harayu Kitsoya, it's equal and the same to Tsoya use, because Tsoya as well is only a suffix, meaning if you're pretty much prepared for Tsoya, it's considered prepared for a suffix, and therefore you can use it for the Kvi as well. They're on the same level. The other one said, no, Kvi ain't a Kitsoya. Kvi is a suffix, 50-50. What is it? We don't know if it needs Kiseh. But it's not like Tsoya, which is Karva Levadai. It's pretty clear, it's pretty certain it's going to happen. And therefore, if it prepares Afar for Tsoya, you can't use it for the Kvi, because the Tsoya is a Vada and Kvi is a suffix. Testayim de Ravahu de Amar. Kvi harihu ke Tsoya. Now we're going to prove that Rava holds that Tsoya is really a suffix, just like Kvi, it's the same level. Dama Rava. Rava just told us, Hichnes Afa lachasas by Tsoya. If he collected the Afa for the Tsoya purposes, Muta lachasas by Dam Tzipur. Use it for the Dam Tzipur because the Tsoya use ranks lower than Dam Tzipur, which is a Vadai. However, Dam Tzipur, if he collected it for the Dam Tzipur, which is a Vadai, also lachasas by Tsoya, you can use it for Tsoya because Tsoya is considered a suffix. This time, it's pretty clear that according to Rava, Dam Tzipur is on top. That's considered a Vadai. And Kvi and Tsoya go hand in hand, pretty much regarded as a suffix. Okay, so we answered the Beitzah. Beitzah tells us you can't use the prepared offer, even prepared offer, non-muktzah material, for Kisi Adam of a Kvi, because it's only a suffix, that's not considered designated and prepared for that purpose. Here comes another teretz, another shot in the Beitzah. Rami Breid Rav Yema Amar, I'll explain to you the reason why you can't cover the Kvi's dam on Yom Tov. Kvi hanetayim lo mechasinan. You know why? You know why we don't cover the dam of the Kvi on Yom Tov? Nothing to do with muktzah. We're concerned about creating the wrong impression. Gzera mishmataras chelboi. It might result in its chelav becoming mutar la'achila. People will think, look, you're covering the dam of the koi. Apparently, because he's a chaya who needs kisi adam. In which case, I'll eat the chelav, the fat of this chaya, because we know that the chelav of a chaya is mutar. Only chelav of a behema is asur. Torah says the chelav which goes in the mizbeach, you're not meant to eat. Only from the behema, but a chaya, this fat can be eaten. This fellow will draw the wrong conclusions from the fact that he's going to do kisi adam on the kvi. He's going to think, well, this must be a chaya, which needs kisi adam. A behema doesn't need kisi adam. Why am I covering? It's a chaya. Okay, let me have the chelav. That's why you don't do kisi adam on a kvi on Yom Tov. What does it have to do with Yom Tov, says the Gemara? If that's the concern, afilu b'chal nami. You shouldn't cover it even on Tuesday, on a regular weekday. You might draw the wrong conclusion. You might think it's a chaya, eat the chelav. No, b'chol, during the weekdays, Amri, people will say, well, nakir chatzeru yutzorach, he's trying to keep his chatzer clean. He's not doing it for the sake of mitzvah. He's doing it for aesthetic purposes. So it's not any reflection of its class, of its status, of its species. Nothing to do with that. He's just trying to keep his property clean. Well, that explains if he did it in his backyard. But shachat ba'ashva meikal lememar. What if he did the shchita on the kvi on top of a heap of trash? He's not looking to keep it clean. And there he goes, bringing the dirt, covering the dam. Oh, apparently he's doing kisi adam on a kvi. Must be a chaya. Let me have the chelav. What if he comes to the Rav, comes to the Bezdin? Rabbi, I have a kvi. Do I do kisi adam? I'm going to have to tell him, yeah. He's going to walk away thinking, oh, it must be a chaya. Says the Gemara, Ella, the reason's like this. Ella, b'choil. Misveika amrli rabbonan zil torach v'kasi. He's not going to draw the wrong conclusions during the weekdays. You know why? He'll think, look, even though it's a suffix, it's a weekday. Of course, the Rabbanan will tell me, go exert yourself and cover the dam to account for that possibility, that perhaps it's a chaya. It's not really an indication of the fact that it's a chaya with certainty. So, b'choy misveik, even if it's only a suffix, Amr the Rabbanan will instruct him to go ahead. Zil, go ahead, tarach v'kasi, exert yourself and cover it. So you won't draw any conclusions from there. as opposed to b'yamtiv. Imasveika, imasapka. He'll think to himself, well, today's yamtiv. If it's only a suffix, mi amri rabbanon. Would the rabbanon tell me to do unnecessary tircha zil tarach v'kasi? The fact that they're telling me to be matriach and cover this dam of the kfri must be because it's really a chaya. It's going through his mind. It's not correct, obviously, because minadin you have to cover. It's a suffix. Suffix the rest of. But this fellow in his mind is thinking he wants to eat the chaylev. So he's drawn to that conclusion. Why am I doing this on Yom Tov? It's a tircha. Oh, apparently it's a mitzvah because it's a chay which needs kisi adam. It's a chay. Let me eat the chaylev. So that explains the Beitzah. If you have offer prepared, not muktzah, you can only cover a chay with it, but not a kvi, because this fellow will think to himself, why are they obligating? Why are they being machayev, a tircha of kisi adam? It must be because it's a chay and I'll eat the chaylev. Continues the Gemara. Tani Rabbi Zera, loy kvi bevad amru. Not only the kvi's dam may you not cover on Yom Tov. Ela afilu shachat behema chaya v'oif v'nesarvo daman. You did shchita on behema chaya v'oif. The chaya and the oif need kisui, and the behema doesn't. V'nesarvo daman, and their blood got mixed up. So you have a pile of a mixture of dam. V'nesarvo daman zevazeh. Also chasar be Yom Tov. You may not cover it on Yom Tov because you're engaged in extra tircha here. You're covering, and part of it doesn't need kisi adam. Asks Tosfos, how can the Chachamim do this? Is a mitzvah kisi adam? They're going to uproot a mitzvah minat Torah? Tosfos says, sometimes they do that. B'sheva al tasa, it's just a passive neglect of the mitzvah. You're not actually doing it. You're refraining from doing the mitzvah kisi adam, and the Chachamim see fit to apply that type of gzera, such as in this case, to avoid extra tircha on Yom Tov, which can lead to perhaps other concerns. Malach, they decided, leave go, don't do kisi adam. Amar Rabbi Yosi bar Yasiniya, lo yishanu. There's only a concern. Elo she'en yochel lechasoisoi bedikira achas. When it's such a large pile of dam, which cannot be covered with simply one scoop of the shovel. Aval yochel lechasoisoi bedikira achas. But if it's small enough that he could just cover it with one scoop of the shovel, mutter, certainly no problem. He's not doing extra tircha. He would do the same amount regardless. Pshita, of course. Why would I think it's aser? Ma'od tema, perhaps there would be room to think. Nigzar dekira achas, atushte dekiris. If you allow one scoop, he's not going to differentiate. He'll continue doing 2, 3. Kamash Malon, there's no concern. So if you can do it with one scoop, go ahead. The concern is only if he has to add additional work and tircha for the behema, which is mixed in there. So he can't do it with one dekira. Then that extra tircha is not allowed. Just leave the entire dam until after Yom Tov. So what did we learn today? We discussed kisi adam on Yom Tov. Conclusion was, we're speaking that there's only issa d'Rabbanan. We're speaking about fluid sand. We're speaking about a shovel which was already inserted. We're speaking that doesn't care about the pit being generated. There's no issa d'Rabbanan. At most, issa d'Rabbanan. B'Shamai say, lechatchila, go ahead and do this. Do the shchita and do the kisui. But still say, only b'di'evet, you already have the dam. If it says kisui, we allow kisui even at the expense of issa d'Rabbanan. We learned that the afer, the ashes inside a stove, is considered non-muktzah, provided we meet one of two conditions. A, the ashes were formed before Yom Tov, or even if they were formed on Yom Tov, but they're still hot enough to be used for cooking or baking, it's not muktzah. Likewise, we learned if a person collects some offer, piles it into his house, it's not muktzah. You can use it for any purpose. Interesting to note that Tosfos points this out. How could you use ashes for kisi hadam? He brings the Gemara in Chulin. According to Beis Shammai, you can't use it. So he says that's only by ashes which don't have the ability to produce plants. But over here we're speaking about afer, ashes which were produced from wood. In that case, he says it's megadol tzmoch and has the ability to you can grow with it. In that case, you can use it for kisi adam. Okay, in any case, we'll learn the Beitzah that even if you have offer prepared in advance, non-muktzah material, you cannot be machasa dam of a kvi. You can only be machasa dam of a chaya. You have two reasons. Rava says because the offer is not prepared for a suffix, so I have a muktzah concern. According to the second shot, because if this fellow will exert himself on Yom Tov to be machasa the dam of the kvi, he'll think to himself, it must be because it's really a chaya. That justified the work. It's a chaya. He's going to eat a chayla, which is a problem. We concluded if we have a mixture, behema, chaya, v'oif, sitting in front of you, the only way you can cover it, if it's one dekir, one scoop for everything, then just cover everything at once, no concern there. Be well and kol tov to you.